Hi everyone. So here in a lovely part of nature, hot as balls, but nonetheless peaceful and beautiful. So I want to bring you this clip, which I've named the inversion within this clown world. So I've taken some notes so I don't go off on a tangent or get lost. So first of all, the definition of inversion. A reversal of something. Incidentally, this isn't a Google definition. This is a different one. DuckDuckGo or somewhere else I looked, but you get a more accurate definition outside, although they're probably all cult media owned. But nonetheless, it says a reversal of something. Inversion is changing to the contrary, turning upside down or inside out, or anything that's reversed in position. Right? So apply that to what's wrong and right in life. Yeah. So first of all, let's throw something out there. Right? Let's just imagine in terms of how we're here. Imagine a magnificent creation, life on earth designed and intended from a loving place, a balanced masculine and feminine energetic that came together and sought to create all that is from a place of care. So think of it for now just like a computer program made up of data and coding, right? Programming and coding. So divine masculine and divine feminine coding coming together as one to create a divine spark of life, the true holy trinity of man, woman, and child. The way God intended. Then imagine that dynamic on a collective scale would become divine community, living by natural law with a focus on thrival. So natural law would be simply in definition, do not steal, hurt or violate others. Do not do unto me and I will not do unto you. Do not steal my health, my wealth, my life, my peace, my freedom, my prosperity, my sovereignty, nor will I you. Do not violate me, nor will I you. That's God's law, natural law. Whatever God is to you. Imagine just for a moment that it was God's intention for the inhabitants of this realm to live such a way. Now, as an ecosystem, nature is of course savage in outward appearance. There seems to be a natural pecking order within all living things, yet there is still a beauty to it all. As humans, the addition of so-called free will of course come with challenges and obstacles to overcome. Nonetheless, if the overall message of living by natural law was adhered to, in the main, I'd say we'd be relatively okay if we were left unfucked with. I believe that every living being on this planet has the right to their own safe place to live, build, grow food and thrive. It's funny that we're supposed to be considered the top of the food chain, we're not. And yet we are the only creature living on this planet that has to work like a slave to shelter and eat. Like I said before, there's something wrong with that. Understand also that the fruits of this world were meant to be shared and the land belongs to no one. Now imagine that some kind of corrupted entity, energy or program came along and sabotaged the naturally intended coding from the previous 2 lines of code. That was balanced and well-meaning in its intention. So I say 2 lines of code because I'm referring to a masculine and feminine balanced component. 2 components came together to create 2 lines of code. 2 lines means divine. And it was sabotaged by a virus of some kind. A single line of code, demonic in nature, that had no ability to create a balanced divine masculine and feminine energetic. that I believe we were all intended to be. Such a parasitic entity can only take any said creation and duplicate or replicate and copy like a bad Xerox, a fake, because it only has one line of coding in the data creation sense, because it runs only on linear critical left brain directives. The balanced right brain creative caring energetic is completely missing. Masculine energy cannot create without its feminine counterpart. It can only copy, steal, and invert. This brings us to the meaning in terms of the title of this video, the inversion that is apparent in this seemingly clown world that most do not even seem to notice. So first of all, an example of the most recent inversion, Olympic Games. Don't get me started on the ceremonies, but women's boxing. So somebody I know posted this up and was absolutely apt. It says, equality, where men are now actively encouraged to beat up women for international medals. Of course, it's referring to the female Italian boxer losing to whatever transgender the individual she was fighting considered himself, in spite of him having 2 sex tests, they call them. There's still no one got the balls conclusive enough to say, oh, well, actually, that testosterone level's that high that that's a man. It's not actually a woman. So she flew the tail in, rightly so. After get punched twice in the face by a man, why should she risk herself? And her whole idea of an Olympic medal crushed because she's not fighting on an even ground. She's not fighting a woman. She's fighting a man that thinks he's a woman, or he's not even a man anymore, but he's certainly not a woman. So what is he? It's just demonic. She's fighting something that is neither. And that cannot be defined after 2 apparent sex tests, that it was indeed a man. Inverted. Massively fucking inverted. So let me highlight some of these things for you. Some of these inversions for you to see. Let me see if I can shed some light on them. Basically, anything that has been put forth as good for us is not. Anything that has been touted as bad for us, is something that you probably need. Is actually something that you probably need. That is in fact good for us. One example being sunlight. So many cultures for many, many years have talked about sun gazing and the importance of the life-giving energy from the sun. Now, of course, caution should be adhered to. You don't want to stare at the sun at the brightest periods of its time, but you should spend time in the sun. You should spend time in the sun. The inversion of, oh, don't let your eyes anywhere near the sun is false. You should have your eyes in the vicinity, not looking directly, but in the vicinity, so you are taking in the rays of the sun. It's life-giving and energetic. It's a life-giving energetic for all of us. And yet you're encouraged to wear sunglasses and to put on cancerous sun cream. So, because the sun is bad. Inversion. You are told to take ibuprofen if you have any type of fever and a higher temperature. You must take these ibuprofen drugs that will melt away your stomach lining and give you stomach ulcers in order to get the temperature down. Temperature is dangerous. High temperature is dangerous. I put it to you that high temperature is our natural body's defensive mechanism for getting rid of whatever is causing the problem in the first place. But we are led to believe the complete opposite. Inversion. Natural food is overly priced and not available to the masses, and yet the middle aisle's man-made packaged shite that's extremely bad for you, that is lowering your testosterone, raising estrogen, that is poisoning you on just one of many levels that they're poisoning you, is, whilst good food and natural things are just steered away from, or made almost very impractical to obtain for the masses. Inversion. The rainbow that is depicted in mainstream media, particularly the NHS, is a complete inversion, which I will come back to. Not only have they taken away one crucial element of it, so there's only 6 instead of 7, they've also mixed the colours for a reason that I'll bring to your attention. Criminals are protected. Terrorists are protected. Speaking up against it is frowned upon, let alone taking it upon yourself to defend yourself from assault. So, foreign invaders come here and treat our culture, people, and beliefs with absolute disdain, and yet are rewarded with housing, benefits, exemptions in taxes and business taxes, grants for starting new businesses while everybody else has gone bankrupt. Home Office has just revealed how they are committing to 117 million over the next 4 years to boost security for their faith schools and places of worship, saying they will always ensure that these communities feel safe and confident and reassured. Yet they are free to desecrate Western places of worship, to walk armed into Western places of worship, to attack and kill people with no consequences, it would seem, for their actions. Inverted. A female police officer is viciously attacked and beaten at an airport as she does her job trying to keep everybody safe. A male police officer intervenes in a desperate attempt to save her life and is totally ridiculed for the course of physical action that he took, out of an act of sheer desperation, I might add. This was massively highlighted by the cult-owned mainstream media, yet the reason for his action was seemingly overlooked. Inverted. Getting back to the Dublin attack on our children, one of now what seems to be a regular occurrence if we look at recent events and other things that have gone on. The Dublin event of those children being attacked and those women being attacked was given 15 seconds airtime on the mainstream media that I saw, and yet 15 plus minutes of airtime was given to the, end quote, extreme right-wing reaction to the murder and killing of slaughter of babies and children. Inverted. Criminal scum protected. Good people reacting with righteous indignation as they should, as their God-given right to stand up against all wrongdoing, is completely persecuted. Inversion. So you're a crack of thunder there, so I might piss down in a minute, but I'll persevere. Big pharma that ruins lives, creates addiction, suffering and death over natural food and true medicine. Over natural food, our true medicine. Inverted. Transgender confusion geared towards nurturing and confusing children from infancy to the point of removing their reproductive organs so they can never have children. Satanic, inverted and anti-life. The female swimmer of the year, a man, inverted. The health minister and secretary, fat as fuck, transvestite, looks like a walking talking heart attack. Inverted. Other obvious signs of inversion are in plain sight for those with eyes to see and willingness to acknowledge, but all seem to go unnoticed as some kind of sick, inverted new normal. Within the New Age spiritual community, you'll hear the mention of the term chakras, regardless of whether or not this term has been inverted too. Many cultures have talked for a long time about such things. Indian, Chinese, Japanese, Eastern and Western talk about energy centers, vortexes, chakras, call them what you will, that represent the true flowing when working as they should of our natural energy within this vessel. Let's just for now use the chakra analogy. So from the bottom to the top, you've got the root chakra, then in red, then the sacral chakra in orange, and then the solar plexus chakra in yellow. Going upward, you've got the heart in green, heart chakra, which is where care and love resides. The throat chakra to voice truth, the third eye chakra, which would be considered intuition, and the crown chakra, which would be ultimate wisdom, higher level of consciousness, which go to higher self. So root, sacral and solar plexus, the bottom three, come from your most basic primal needs, the lower self. So root chakra represents sex or lust. The sacral chakra represents food. Also gluttony. The solar plexus chakra represents power, your harness expression to take control. This is the lower self. Higher self would be heart. Heart's essential because that's where care and love resides. Throat to voice truth. Third eye is your intuition, trusting your true intuitive self. Crown chakra represents wisdom, a high level of consciousness, reaching the pinnacle of self. Apparently, God's rainbow, as it's been called, the Lord's creation, has 7 colours, while the mainstream depictions, particularly the one in the NHS, shows only 6. In the scriptures, 7 represents completion and perfection, whilst 6 represents falling short, imitation, Satan. Indigo, the one that's missing, is the colour of royalty, of sovereignty. It represents spiritual knowledge and wisdom connecting heaven and earth. The inverted version ultimately does not want to be connected to God, so this has been removed. God creates, Satan imitates, inverts. Awaken to this awful situation. So the inverted rainbow places lower self at the top, putting emphasis on lust, gluttony, and power. The higher mind at the bottom, completely removing wisdom, the 7th colour, all in plain sight for no one to see. This whole thing is an attack on the divine unity between man and woman and creation of child. It's a desecration to our whole known way of life. Open your eyes to it. Open your eyes and strive to awaken to your higher self before it's too late. Peace.